Greetings and welcome back to another episode of ZFK TALKS. I haven't been around in a while. It's been about 4 or 5 months since I made a video. That's just due to the fact that I was out pursuing things outside of my scope of dreams, something random. I was actually out tree planting for a couple months in northern Ontario and north of Jasper, which is like northern Alberta. Living the life, being a dirty hippie in the mountains. Probably the best thing I could do during the May market crash of crypto. Didn't have very much access to technology, and it was a perfect way to hodl, being out in the woods and not having to worry about how much my price of my portfolio was dropping. So today I've been thinking, why haven't I made a video about this a long time ago? It's something I'm so passionate about and so deep down the rabbit hole about, and that is my investments in the Xrp ledger. Anyone that knows me knows that I'll never shut up about it. I'm pretty much just a psycho about it, and if you let me put my foot in the door to talk about it, you're probably going to regret it. I will talk your ear off about it. So let's just start with my story. We'll make it short, sweet, and quick, and get that out of the way. I got into crypto in 2019. I had heard about crypto for many years, and I actually kind of, like everyone else, thought it's just funky internet money, and there's not really very much value in it. Just like a disinterest into it, you just don't really pay attention to things when you don't give a shit. And that's how it was for many years. So maybe I knew about it in like 2017, I would say. Started hearing about Bitcoin and such around then. I kind of got interested in it in 2019, and from becoming interested in it to becoming obsessed with it did not take very long. My unhealthy obsession with it probably started in the beginning of fall 2019, so almost 3 years ago, and pretty much I was just surfing some Netflix and seeing this short Vox stock on like Bitcoin and crypto, and I had this light bulb go off, and I was like, oh, I have some credit debt. My job and my business are not allowing me to totally like get out of that right now. Let's put some money into crypto, do some swing trades, and make a gamble, try and make some money to put down on debt. And I quickly realized, getting into the market, that this was not the way to go about crypto. The deeper I got down the rabbit hole, the more I realized this wasn't a quick little flip. This was like a multi-decade play, and this was a future. And it's undeniably true. It's a red pill you can't unswallow. Once you go down the crypto rabbit hole, you're done for. You're never coming back out. And I'm glad I found it, or it found me. Whatever the universe did to bring me to it, I'm always thankful for that, because it changed my life. And especially through the pandemic years, I don't know if I would have made it without knowing that crypto was going to come out and bail me down the road. I've had a lot of ups and downs with it. Great successes. Successes that have allowed me to do some really cool stuff for someone of my age. A lot of travel and stuff. Made a lot of money, but I've also lost a ton of money. And I think that's pretty common for anyone that's went more than dipping their toes and went full balls deep in crypto like I have. Lastly, on my story, not that this is my story, but this is why I'm making the video. I often joke about how you need to get into crypto and XRP now, or be forced subject to the peasantry of the New World Order financial system. As much as that sounds like a joke, I'm not really joking, because we'll get into it at the end of the video, but for a lot of reasons in the future, it's going to be really hard to get by as your average citizen if you didn't get into crypto in the early days. So we'll get into that. Buy XRP or become a peasant of the future. The biggest risk that you could run right now financially is not getting off zero. Having zero crypto is a huge risk right now. People that had even just a little bit of crypto and today's prices are going to be vastly more wealthy down the line if they have the balls to hold it for as long as they can. So you'll have to excuse me. There's a lot of notes here as to how all this works, and I wanted to make sure I give everyone a good presentation of exactly what's going on here to the best of my ability. Let's start with the history of XRP. So, as many of you may know, if you are slightly interested in crypto, Bitcoin came around in 2009 following the great housing crash, right? And it was an alternative to the establishment US dollar, a way to move your money around from outside of the system, which is a true people's money. It's the most decentralized, hard form of money because it's a limited currency. We can never make more of it once it's been fully mined, and it's fully permissionless, which means you don't need a third-party permission with the bank to send someone else money, which is a pretty big deal, right? So, believe it or not, I actually just learned this recently. Ripple Pay was created by a guy named Ryan Fugger. It was not a cryptocurrency, but it was a value system, and that was started in 2004. So the whole idea that may or may not have been XRP at the time actually existed a long time before Bitcoin. And XRP wasn't born overnight. It came in many phases to become what it is today. So that started with Ryan Fugger. I have no idea where he stands in the organization now. Probably not involved at all with Xrp and Ripple. Another thing to note with the Ripple Pay creation was that it was created in opposition to what was called the PayPal Mafia. So that's kind of where that came from. Fast forward to 2012. A couple of other people associated with Ryan Fugger created the XRP token under a company called OpenCoin. And that was Jed McCaleb, Arthur Brito, and Chris Larson. That company has had people join and leave over time. The company has grown quite large to 850 employees plus, and I'm sure they're worth billions of dollars. But around like 2014-15, OpenCoin changed its name to Ripple Labs, and at present it has been shortened down to Ripple. The CEO of the company today, his name is Brad Garlinghouse. And we have other notable characters like David Schwartz involved in the organization. So now that some of the history is out of the way, let's get to like what is XRP. So the purpose and technology. It's a killer app. And by killer app, I mean it's something that is vastly better than what already exists in terms of a technology or an application. And why it's killer is because it blows its competition out of the water. Nothing else that exists in this form right now can compete with it. So with that said, what is its main purpose? It is basically a protocol, a decentralized cryptocurrency that adds lubricant to the current world financial system. And like what does that even mean? Why is this such a groundbreaking technology? It's seeking to speed up international remittances. A remittance is an international payment, okay? And in today's economy, that runs off of the U.S. created SWIFT system. SWIFT system is a dinosaur technology. It's been around for, I didn't do my research on this, but I want to say it's been around since like the early days of computers, probably 60s, 70s, 80s, around there. It's multi decades old. It's dinosaur technology. And with that said, it is a standard for international payments. And because the US dollar is the world reserve currency and the SWIFT system is a US system, that's kind of a big deal. The US does not want SWIFT going anywhere. And with that said, some of the problems with SWIFT is that it's expensive, for one. Let's say you come from India to Canada and you want to make $100,000 a year and pay out $10,000 to your family back home in India. you're going to lose $1,000 of that to the Swiss system. You're also not going to be notified if the payment even makes it to the country, so you have to call the bank or call your family and see if it made it. There's a 6% fail rate on Swift transfers, and with that said, it's also slow. It can take like up to a week for this to basically make it. And as my photo and video business has grown, I've started to take on bigger clients, and occasionally the payments do come through Swift, and I have to fill out a whole form for this. It's a pain in the butt, and it doesn't happen instant. Sometimes it takes up to a week to get the money, and I think there's a better alternative to that, which we're going to talk about. So with that said, that's kind of like the main purpose of XRP. It runs on a blockchain ledger, so all transactions are forever visible. It's decentralized. The currency that was created by Jed McCaleb, Brito, and Larson came about right before the company started, and some of them aren't even involved with Ripple anymore. So with that said, although Ripple uses the XRP technology for its clients, if Ripple were to disappear tomorrow, XRP still lives on. It's a source code on the internet. Anyone can use it. It's free and open. And with that said, it's permissionless. You can send it anywhere in the world without the permission of a bank or a third party. It exists without Ripple regardless. So that's a very interesting thing to be competing with the Swift system. Another thing XRP does really well is it eliminates pre-funding. And pre-funding is something that applies to businesses and banks alike. And effectively, they have to lock up some money and have it ready to go for international transfers and such. With XRP, you no longer need to do that because it's so fast and cheap. So with that said, money that would be large sums of money at that would be otherwise locked up for pre-funding accounts are now basically eliminated. That money can be put to use elsewhere in a faster fashion because of XRP's speed and cheapness, and overall, and the global economy. If money isn't locked up for pre-funding anymore, that means that we have a higher, more fast, liquid, higher velocity cash that can be moved around the world much faster for a better economy. Let's see what other notes I have here. It's also for instant conversions, which is kind of the idea of it being used as future liquidity for the future financial system, converting from yen to US dollar instantly, and more notably, future government central bank digital currencies, digital yen, digital US dollar, instant transfer for a fraction of a penny every time. What else do I have here? It is also a green technology. With that said, Bitcoin and a lot of other cryptocurrencies have to be mined, which is a very secure way of doing crypto, but it is also very energy intensive and not great for the environment. XRP's entire supply has already been minted, and with that said, it doesn't need to be mined. So it basically costs almost no electricity to run the XRP system, very little at that, and that's a big competition for a lot of other cryptos to be green like that. It's a big thing for the governments when they want to use green technology. And then lastly with this too, yes, the whole supply is mined. However, in order to stabilize the price of XRP for future investors, a large amount of it has been sent to an escrow account by Ripple. With that said, the escrow account, regardless of what Ripple wants to do, is designed in a way to release a small amount of XRP to the supply every single month indefinitely until it is fully dispersed. Not XRP, but Ripple can't go in there and change that, which is further proof that the supply of XRP really is decentralized. So although XRP and Ripple are different things, where Ripple and XRP kind of come together is that Ripple helps position XRP to be used by banks and corporations around the world. And with that said, I know that XRP is used by over 50 different banks worldwide right now. The question is, without research done, is it over 75? Is it over 100? In the year 2022, it likely is, so you'd have to research that. But like I said previously, without Ripple, XRP lives on, and it is a decentralized protocol that does not need the company to live. It is simply a peer-to-peer currency without third-party permissions. Fast and cheap. So moving on now to crypto cycles and projections for the price of XRP. And this is where it gets interesting, and this is why the title will be named something along the lines of Your Last Chance to Buy XRP. Because it really is. We just had a 4-year cycle finishing up in 2021, and the beginning of a cycle is bear market where prices slide, and then the end of a cycle is the bull market where prices euphorically hit a peak, and then it is followed by a new cycle starting with a bear market. Cycles run because of a Bitcoin halving. You can research that. We're talking about XRP, but that is what creates the 4-year cycles, is the leader of crypto, which is Bitcoin, having its mining supply every 4 years. With that said, it creates a supply shock, and that affects the rest of crypto. XRP being crypto is affected by that. And what happened with this cycle was about a year and a half prior to the end of the cycle, the Stock Exchange Commission of the United States came out and sued Ripple. We're going to get to that shortly. So with that said, for this crypto 4-year cycle, XRP never hit its peak. It was stifled by the US government coming in and dropping a lawsuit in our laps. Did the price go up? Yeah, it did. But many of us, like myself, never sold because it never even hit the all-time high. I'm not selling a cryptocurrency of this level of promise without hitting an all-time high, I believe that. So anyways, for this cycle, it never did hit the all-time high. It was a huge disappointment to many of us, but it was a big opportunity for us to fill up our bags even heavier. And I sure did take advantage of that. A conservative guess for where it should be, and it's currently sitting around 40 or 50 cents US. It should be trying to hit about $5 to $13 US. Some people projecting even higher, $40, $50, $60 US. But we got to keep our expectations in check. There's a lot of different analysis as to how you would get to those numbers, and a lot of it doesn't always make sense this early on, maybe in a couple decades for sure. But XRP should have been hitting at least $5 to $13 US. So with that said, we're going to get into the part where things with XRP get really, really interesting. So I started investing in XRP almost immediately once I got into crypto. The value proposition, I was totally into it. I thought it was a really cool idea. I still do. That's why I'm making this video, and that's why I'm suggesting you do your own research and potentially look into dropping a little bit of money into XRP. Not your life savings. Do it responsibly. Do your own research. And this is not financial advice. This is just a little nudge for you to go do your research and see if it's something that interests you. So with that said, here's where shit gets interesting and shit hit the fan for myself and many other investors. I had been in XRP for over a year at this point, and I remember I was skiing up in Collingwood, Ontario, having a great time, and the markets for XRP tanked. And why was this? The SEC, Stock Exchange Commission of the United States, decided to drop a lawsuit against Ripple, against Brad Garlinghouse, and some of the other individuals at Ripple for selling XRP as an unregistered security. So the jurisdiction of the SEC in the United States is over stocks and securities. Stocks, pretty straightforward. You may not know what a security is. A security is like a stock with paid out dividends or a promise of return. You have an investment contract with whatever company you've purchased the security from, and you should be getting a return on that as part of the contract. Okay, so SEC says, Ripple, we see what you're doing with the XRP token. We don't believe that it is a decentralized currency. we believe that you have been selling the market unregistered securities / investment contracts. So, with that said, my lovely day on the snowy small mountain of Blue Mountain in Collingwood kind of got fucked because within a day or two of this lawsuit opening, I lost the value of about 70% of the Xrp I had been investing in for the last year or so. And ironically, this lawsuit came right after it had pumped quite a bit, and I was up quite a bit of money. So easy come, easy go. And to magnify how interesting this was, this lawsuit was opened by the chair of the SEC at the time, Jack Clayton, whom resigned, I believe it was the same day or the next day as he opened the lawsuit, and then went to go work in the crypto industry afterwards, which is he did it immediately. Very ironic. Another problem with this lawsuit is that Ripple, being a company of the size it was in open communication with the SEC, I believe on a monthly basis, and they were basically saying to the SEC exactly what they're doing, showing them what they're doing, and trying to make sure that they stayed out of harm's way as far as regulation goes. Because with crypto, at that time and now, it's a gray zone. There isn't like a lot of real regulation in the crypto industry in the United States, with the exception of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So they would go to the SEC all the time and say, hey, this is what we're doing. Are we in violation? SEC would kind of basically keep not their lips zipped, but they wouldn't really say either or. They would just say, keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're good. So with that said, now in 2022, we are still lacking regulatory clarity. And this lawsuit opened in December of 2020 on, I believe, December 23rd. So, needless to say, Xrp investors had their Christmas shit on by the SEC, losing 70% of their portfolio value on Xrp just 2 days before Christmas, with a giant FU middle finger from Jack Clayton as he resigns the same day or the day afterwards. So the biggest argument for Ripple and the SEC v. Ripple lawsuit actually comes prior to Jack Clayton opening the lawsuit. And this was from the former chair of the SEC, William Hinman. This was from the former chair of the SEC, William Hinman. Okay? And what happened with him was he gave a public speech, about Ethereum and XRP. And in this speech, he said that his view, or the SEC's view by extension, of XRP was that it was not a security, it was a currency. And in present terms, the SEC argues that this is William Hinman's personal opinion and not the views of the SEC. But if you are the chair of the SEC, that is the views of the SEC. That is argued by today's chair, Gary Gensler, who came in after Jack Clayton resigned. So, with that said, it is known that Hinman has many, many emails within the SEC organization and communications with Ripple, and these emails would probably be undeniable evidence that their view was XRP as a currency and not a security. With that said, throughout the lawsuit, the judge has been asking for these emails over and over and over again, and Gary Gensler and the SEC refused to turn these papers over, the emails. How they've been able to get away with this after being asked by the judge to deliver these emails over and over and over again, I don't know. I think that the SEC knows that if these emails come out and they are put on the table, redacted or not, the lawsuit's over. The judge will close the lawsuit. We just had summary judgment of the lawsuit come out within the last week, and summary judgment is now, almost 2 years into the original lawsuit being started, and that is when both sides present their final evidence on both sides of what they're going to argue. And ironically, the SEC has completely changed its argument for the 6th time, and they have provided zero evidence of how XRP is a security or any other case similar in the past that could point to XRP being a security. In my opinion, the lawsuit could still go on for longer. I'm not getting my hopes up, but I think that this is looking like a definitive win for Ripple and XRP. It's looking very good for sure. I don't know if someone's dirty hands could get in there and meddle it into a corrupt and decisive loss for Ripple. Who knows? The world's a theater. It's possible, but I would definitely put my money, and have been putting my money, on Ripple. So there's a lot to the lawsuit. I'm not a big law guy. I have been following the experts and seeing what they're saying, but there's a lot of shady business going on with it. The fact that, we have Jack Clayton going to work in crypto after opening a lawsuit against Ripple is sketchy. Even worse, William Hinman, whom gave the speech about XRP not being a security. His speech also praised Ethereum, which is a competition to Bitcoin and XRP. He was also a chair of the SEC who now works for the Ethereum Foundation. Super sketchy. It's like let's be selective of our treatment, and let's pick the winners. We're gonna pick Ethereum as a winner. We're gonna take down XRP. Maybe our big dog friends and the financial industry can go buy up XRP while we suppress the price. Maybe something along those lines. It's very fraudulent, and the SEC is supposed to be working in the best interest of investors and protecting our money. And what they've done is they've turned around and ruined our investment, and they've suppressed the price for far too long. The more you research this lawsuit, the more you start to figure out that it is a form of theater and a pure suppression of this prime winner technology being XRP. The more interesting it gets, the more that you realize that you should probably be buying the rumor of XRP winning this lawsuit and then selling the news when it does win the lawsuit and the price pops off. That's what I've been doing. I've been positioning myself to buy the rumor and sell the news in XRP long before the rumor even was around. Everyone in the crypto industry should be rooting for Ripple in this lawsuit because this is a groundbreaking case. It's precedent setting. There's never been a case like it. And frankly, a lot of cryptocurrencies have been minted in a similar fashion to XRP. And with that said, if the SEC wins this lawsuit, they will be able to go after almost any other cryptocurrency in the industry, and they will be able to extract funds from the individuals that have created those decentralized currencies and use that as an excuse to gain more funding from the U.S. government down the road. Look at us, woohoo! SEC is winning lawsuits left and right. We're extracting money from the market. It makes them look better and gives them more money and power. Therefore, on the flip side, if Ripple does win this lawsuit, the SEC will lose a lot of power as to what they're allowed to govern over, because it's unclear as to whether or not they're allowed to govern over crypto. I would argue not. And with that said, rooting for Ripple is the way to go, because this will stop the SEC from coming in and creating more injustices in the market and hurting us investors as they have already. The SEC probably didn't foresee this. They thought it would be a cakewalk, but they have a lot of problems in the lawsuit with Ripple and how they're going to be able to tackle that. I don't know. It doesn't look good for them, which is good for us, the investors. But with that said, some of Ripple's biggest defenses are the fact that there is a huge case to be made about fair notice defense. Like I said earlier, Ripple was in constant contact with the SEC, letting them know exactly what they're doing, and the SEC nodded their head and let them do what they want. giving the impression to Ripple that they're not doing anything wrong. And to this day, in my opinion, I don't think they ever were doing anything wrong, because they didn't have an investment contract with any of their users. More than 50% of users that have purchased Xrp, according to polls, did not even know that Ripple was associated with Xrp, didn't even know it existed, and therefore there is no investment contract with Ripple's Xrp, because there's no promise of returns, and there's also no physical contract when you purchase Xrp. So with that said, the SEC is going to have a problem, because they allowed Ripple to do what they were doing and did not give fair notice, or any notice of, for that matter, to Ripple, the company, about their Xrp token before they dropped the lawsuit. So how else would you know that you're doing something wrong, and seek recourse as to how to fix it, if the governing agency over these types of things doesn't tell you? So with that said, let's get to some of my outro thoughts about Xrp and Ripple. The world economy has been through some very turbulent times over the last couple of years through the pandemic era. And you can think what you want about it. I definitely have a lot of interesting thoughts about it. But the more that you get down into the hole of how the world works, the people that hold power at this time and have held it for decades and decades and decades and decades, the establishment, the cabal, whatever you want to call it, it seems like the last couple of years have been a formulated plot by those that hold power to destroy the middle class via the means of a pandemic, which shut down our businesses and allow governments to hyperinflate and hyperprint currency, debasing the currency, making it harder for us to purchase everyday items and build our wealth through buying, things like assets, stocks, most importantly, real estate, things like that. It has become so hard for the regular person to preserve or build any wealth. Everyone's just getting by. So with that said, I believe that they're intentionally destroying the middle class. They're destroying our money in order to usher in a new system of money, and that is the central bank digital currency. These currencies would be similar to Xrp. They could even be run off of the Xrp ledger. We'll get into that shortly. And with that said, there's a lot of things that are kind of scary about that future. We've all heard of the World Economic Forum stuff, the you'll own nothing and be happy. Do your research on World Economic Forum, the WEF, and this video might make more sense. But with that said, we got to be really careful as the people about CBDCs, and that is because under the right leadership, just about anything can be pushed with them. They will be a ledger technology similar to Xrp, which means that the CBDC will have a public record of all of your purchases, so the government will be able to see every dollar that you spend. And with things like the medicine passports that we had, or looking at communist China and how they run a social credit score, which is basically a score through the government that shows whether or not you are deemed to be a good person through your many actions and digital footprint and transaction records. That is what could be coming to the West with central bank digital currencies. Our leadership here could see all of your payments and extract every tax dollar possible from you. I'm not saying it's right to not pay your taxes, but hire the right people and get your tax bill down, because they already take too much from us. But they could go as far as to block payments. We don't like this website you're looking, or we don't support this business that you want to purchase from because they don't like our opinions as a government. They can make it impossible for you to pay for certain things. And if there's a no cash policy or alternative, and it's just CBDCs, you're in trouble. That's why it's really important for us to have this crypto outside of the establishment payment system, because permissionless payments are going to be important in the future if we are working with CBDCs by tyrannical governments that only allow you to purchase things that they deem acceptable. So with that said, as much as I believe XRP and Ripple's intentions are noble, the world is a theater, and we don't really actually know that or not. Ripple could be in bed with the governments and the elites and having this fake lawsuit to suppress prices in order for people of massive wealth to buy up more XRP before the switch is flipped. What is the switch? Flipping the switch is a conspiracy that potentially XRP will be running the new world financial system, CBDCs, government currencies based off of XRP. So with that said, if XRP's intentions and Ripple's intentions are noble, or if they are really on the dark side, the promise of XRP and the amount of value that will be instilled into that network, I want to be involved. I want to play the good or bad side of this investment, and I want to take advantage of the flip side and the upside of what this investment promises. So with that said, I guess what I'm trying to say is the financial system we have today and have had for decades is on its way out. It's dying. And we have new alternatives that are being suppressed at the moment. And if you're getting in on them ahead of time before the retail investing herd figures it out, you're going to be massively wealthy. So that's why I'm balls deep on it. And, whether or not XRP and cryptos blowing up and digital currencies from the government is a good thing for me or not, it's happening regardless. And I recognize that, so I will continue to invest. Let's see here. I think that is pretty much everything I had written down for notes about that. If I can think of anything else in the next couple seconds, I think that's it for the most part. But yeah, crypto in general is something you have to dig deep on. XRP in particular. There's all kinds of different factions and tribalism of what cryptocurrencies should become the new norm for the future. But I think there's too much evidence to deny that XRP is not going to be a huge part of the future global financial system, whether or not it is the standard or not. I guess that is what I was forgetting and I wanted to mention. If XRP were to be the standard of global payments and international remittances in the future, that would pretty much create unfathomable returns for this token. If you were to replace the SWIFT system of international payments and swap it out for XRP Ripple, I believe the value that would be instilled onto that network would be in the trillions in the flip of a switch. And with that flip of a switch, if you were to instill trillions of dollars, like I'm getting to the crack pipe talk. This is probably not going to happen, but this is why it's your last chance to buy XRP if this is to happen, because once this happens and the switch is flipped, there's no going back to an exchange and trying to buy XRP. Like, it's not going to happen. It's going to be too in demand. So with that said, if XRP were to take over the SWIFT system, you would see value of XRP surge over $100 US, $1,000 US, $10,000 US. It wouldn't even be denominated in dollar terms anymore. It would just be XRP. And with that said, many people, if they were able to hold on for that long, because it's not something that's happening in the next couple of years, could take 5, 10 years, 15 years, you would see people become multi-billionaires, potentially quarter trillionaires and such. So with that said, I did say previously, do your own research, not financial advice, but like, just get off zero, get out there, get at least $10, $20 worth of crypto or XRP. Like, why wouldn't you, after everything I've just presented, why wouldn't you have, your bets laid out to have like just an itty bitty little bit of risk? You don't have to have $1,000, $10,000, $50,000 worth of XRP and take a huge risk like that. Just dip your toes in the water, grab a little bit, take my advice, and do your own research before you make any action of that, but just go out and do some research and see what's out there. A lot of people are obliviously unaware about crypto, and I think it's a huge risk not having any exposure to it. I'm not saying go balls to the wall, everything on it, because that would be irresponsible. I haven't done that. But yeah, just get out there and maybe take a little bit of time to research and dip your toes in the water. Hopefully I'm not missing anything here, but XRP, man, it's an interesting one. It's definitely a mind fuck. And I do see one more thing I missed here on my notes. That is just one of the many things that blow your mind about Ripple and XRP. And that is another weird little conflict of interest. That is that Rosie Rios, who was head of the U.S. Treasury for many years, her name is literally on every U.S. dollar bill that goes out there in circulation. She moved over to from the U.S. government Treasury over to Ripple Labs, I think maybe a year and a half ago, and she's helping run their team. So it just seems to me that there's so many coincidences with it. There's so many people that have moved from big government organization and into crypto, Ripple specifically, that I can't ignore it, and I have to spread some of this information for those that are willing enough to listen to it. All right, I think that's it for my notes. I've said it 3 times. I don't want to dive back into the notes. I really would like to get on with my day, and hopefully this has sparked your interest, and maybe it will make you some money down the road. If it makes you lose money, I didn't tell you about it. Anyways, this is another episode of ZFK Talks. Do your own research, not financial advice. This may be your very last chance to get on the XRP gravy train. If you do, best of luck to you, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.